So welcome, Marshall and Archie. We have a little home slice right here. He's a bearded dragon, you said?
Yeah, he's a bearded dragon. This is Archie. He is 3 years old, and he is my little road trip companion. Always with me in the van, fishing in HEB, in the podcast studio, wherever we're at. He's a rehome, so he was also homeless like me.
Oh, nice. So I met Marshall roughly a year ago in July, and we started chatting in Lake Austin. Me and some friends were going paddleboarding, and I met Marshall and Archie because they were fishing. I think you guys had like an entire camera setup.
Yeah, my buddy Scotty was out there filming for us. We're working on like a little sizzle thing.
Yeah.
So yeah, we were out there. I remember we were all chatting. That was pretty cool on the Barton Flat.
Yeah,
it was a nice little area.
I thought it was pretty interesting because as we got to talking, you talked about your story and how you've started getting a little bit of attraction and interest on social media. You've started getting a following. Excuse me. And through that, you've ended up gaining some sponsorships that help you in your journey. You're also currently homeless, which is one of the more interesting parts about you. But you're also having sponsorship deals come through, which kind of help you with some of the expenses and almost living a nomad life.
Yeah,
in a sense.
Exactly. Yeah. So, 3 years ago now, I think it's a little over 3 years ago now. I was living out of my single cab Toyota Tundra pickup. So I have a van now, but before the van, there was cars and pickups. So, like I said, I go by the homeless fisherman, but what level of homeless you want to consider me is up to you. I used to be in the single cab pickup, curled up at night, sleeping in there, and that was pretty interesting. Didn't have a whole lot, didn't have any money, didn't have anywhere to go, didn't have anywhere to call home. I wouldn't call the truck home. So that's where it kind of came from originally. But I used to post like kind of TikTok, like day in the life videos, because worked as like a nice little like diary for myself where I could like talk through my day, and like I would still go fishing, you know what I mean? Because it was free and there was nothing else I could do. I could eat fish, and that was pretty cool and cheap. But I would use that as sort of like a diary, and eventually it kind of popped off. People were like, "Hey, this is super cool, actually. Like, do you need help? Like, can we give you money?" And I was like, "Whoa, wait a second, this is cool." And I was in Florida at the time, actually, for that. So I drove up to Minnesota and met one of my best friends, Kyle, who at the time we had never met each other in person. He owns Throwback Baits. And yeah, he kind of just took me in for a little bit and basically taught me how to, he was like, "Hey, do you want to make a living at this?" And I was like, "Yeah." Like I want nothing else, and he's like, "You can do that. Like, look what you've already built." And, 3 years later we're here, and it's just incredible. Like, it's incredible that I can do this for a living. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So I've seen a couple of like sneak peeks of your van. You just pulled it up, and it's pretty big. I just want to know. It always interests me to see what people have within these vans. You are living, in a sense, the nomadic lifestyle, and you can only carry so much. So all the material possessions that people carry around is almost non-existent for you.
Yeah.
So first, I kind of want to go like through what is in there. So obviously, like some clothes, toiletries, some basic stuff. What else do you keep in there?
So it's for anyone who's familiar with the model, it is a Ford Ecoline 150. So it's a decent size van. You know what I mean? Like, it's not a huge van. You can't stand up it or anything. But I have my bed set up. I have my little cabinet where I keep like my cooking instruments and stuff like that, and all my seasonings and stuff like that. I use a little butane cooker to cook dinner on every night. I just got a cast iron. That was very nice. Yeah, I'm on the cast iron train now. That's pretty new to me, but it's very good. It's been fun.
Me and my roommate have the same 2 cast irons and like 1 nonstick pan, and that's it.
Yeah, dude, that's the way to go, dude. Like, you keep the grease in there. That's wonderful. But the big thing is you don't have to wash it, so I don't have to do a lot of. It's like pretty low maintenance for the van, because I don't have any running water. You know what I mean? So I have that, and then Archie's cage is in there, of course. He just sleeps in there most of the time. He's never in there. It's just kind of a spot where I'm like, "Oh, here you go, time for bed." It's his little bedroom. And then of course, probably the thing that takes up the most room is all my fishing gear. Ridiculous amount of fishing gear, which I, can't live without at this point. But other than that, I have pretty much set my life up around fishing and chasing the world record bass. That's it. That's all I live for.
The world record bass?
Yeah, that is my goal. That is my goal on this earth here, is to catch the world record bass. Huh. That is it, yeah.
So I'm not too big on fishing, and I'm not like really in the fishing space. So what is this world record bass? I know it's like a fish, but what?
So this is actually why I was pretty excited to come on this podcast, because it's not totally fishing related. Everything else I've been on is like 100% fishing, and this is like fun because we get to delve into other stuff. But just for anyone who doesn't know, the world record bass is 22 pounds 4 ounces, right? That is like the standing record since 1938, and it's just like a legendary record. This is a 20-pound bass is something that only a handful of people in the history of the world have ever witnessed with their own eyes. And to me, that is something so like, it gives me chills, dude, thinking about that sort of moment. And I want to experience that. So that is like the chase every day. Bass fishing is the most popular fish in the world, right? For sport fishing. And that's what makes it so coveted, is that everyone in the world can have a chance at catching a largemouth bass, right? Whether you're up north in Canada, whether you're down south, whether you're in Mexico, Honduras, Africa, Japan, all these places have bass. And so it creates this crazy sense of community where it's like, hey, we're all shooting for this same goal. You know what I mean? So that's what makes the world record bass so sought after. It's because anyone has a chance, but not everyone can do it. You know what I mean? You gotta be built different.
Yeah. So, is Austin known to be like one of the spots where there is a large bass?
There are big bass in Austin. I would say there's not a world record for sure. But the Lake Austin Lake record is 16 pounds, which is a very large fish.
Where do you go about finding this information too? I'm kind of curious.
They actually have it all documented on the Texas Parks and Wildlife stuff. So you can go to the lake, you can go to lakes, find the lake records, find all the stocking information, all that. I do a lot of reading at night because I'm just going through on Google Maps. I'll find a lake. I'll go look at the lake records, all that. Just geeking out on it like that. Austin has big bass. The big thing I like about Austin is that it's a tough fishery because a lot of people fish it. So the fish just receive more pressure, so they're less likely to bite. And it improves my skills as an angler. You know what I mean? It's a more difficult fishery. So when I go here and when I do have success, it teaches me more than just going to a private pond and catching fish that have never seen a bait before. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So it's definitely taught me a lot. And I've kind of, eventually I will migrate outside of Austin. I think the world record is in Japan, to be honest. That's where they have some of the biggest bass in the world. So probably here in the next 5 years, we'll be homeless in Japan. But yeah.
That is cool. Would you plan on going about selling all your gear and equipment and just rebuying over there?
I don't know, to be honest. I don't even know how that works. I guess I'd try and ship it all because I have a bunch of stuff that I like. But I could even, you can ferry your car over there. Is that right?
Yeah.
Maybe ship the. It would be worth it long term. You know what I mean? If I have to pay $3,000 to ship my van or whatever. I don't know. We'll cross that bridge when we come to it. I haven't quite got there yet. I just know that that's the goal.
Yeah. So what kind of enticed you to just like start doing this? What was your backstory before you even became homeless? You said it was roughly 3 years ago in Florida. What were you doing before then? So,
I've always fished since I was little bitty. Like that's just been like something, I love. I love animals. Like I'm a big animal guy. I wanted to be Steve Irwin. That was my original goal, right? And I feel like I got pretty close. This isn't too far off, right? Getting paid to go out and mess with wildlife. I feel like got almost there. Definitely, I wanted to be Steve Irwin at first, and like I said, it just kind of evolved. And the more people I met, and the more places I went, the more things I did, and the more fish I caught, the more it kind of dialed in. Like, this is what I want to do. I want to, at first it was like broad. I'm just gonna fish for whatever. And then it got a little more dialed. Okay, I just want to fish for bass. And then it got even more dialed to where I want to catch the biggest bass in the world. Like, you know what I mean? It's a pipeline. So now I'm here, and that's, that's how I got into it. But yeah, I mean, I got kicked out of my house when I was 18, 19, somewhere in there. 22. Okay. So yeah. So you're young, dude. yeah, I'm still pretty early on this. But yeah, that, just family stuff happened, circumstances. You know how it goes. It's like I said, homelessness is on different levels. So like, I'm not saying I had the most tragic story in the whole wide world. There's people out there who had it way worse than I did. But like I said, it's on a spectrum. It's not just one thing. But you can always work yourself out of it. And that's what I decided, that I didn't want to get to like a real job. I was just going to literally just scrape by and starve until I can make this work. Do it every single day, consistently, put out content, go fishing, make stuff, and just always, aiming for that goal. And to me, really, like, I do like making videos and I do love sharing content. It's very fun for me. But I think for me, at the end of the day, if I had an ultimate choice, if I just had unlimited money, you know what I mean, and I didn't have to worry about it, I would just fish. It's an ends to a mean for me. You know what I mean? Like I said, if you are shooting to be the world's greatest, I truly think you have to be delusional. You know what I mean? Like, you have to put every waking moment of your entire life into something. And there can't be any less. You know what I mean? It's like, there's no like me time. It's like, dude, this is my me time. Everything I do is revolving around this. And I think that's how you become the best. I believe. I don't know, because I'm not there yet, but I'd like to be. I think you have to have that mindset.
I think Alex Hormozy, he talks about this in terms of like wealthy people, where he talks about billionaires, and a lot of people kind of focus and idealize what are the things that billionaires have that I as a person don't have. And Alex Hormozy has a take on this that I kind of like. It's they don't have something that you don't have, or they don't have something, they don't have like a habit or characteristic that you don't have. Obviously they've built like their principles and their like values and their routines. However, they have something that's that could be seen as like way worse. They don't have an off button. Right. And that off button is what makes them keep going towards like this endless goal. And this endless goal can be fruitful for them, or it can be despair. So I just thought that was an interesting take, because a lot of people, they see you and then they're like, oh yeah, like I'll probably, like, that guy's life is so cool. He just gets to fish all day. But most people wouldn't put in as many hours as you'd probably put.
I don't think so. And I'm not trying to be like, over the top. I have something wrong with me. You know what I mean? Like, that's not good. Like, most normal people would be like, oh, I want to start a family and all that. I can't. I can't, dude. I need to do this. Like, I have to accomplish this goal. I don't know. I'm a big believer in, like, I don't know. Everybody has their own opinions on like purpose in life, or what are you going to do? I think for me, that like makes me happy, right? The something that makes me happy and doesn't make me question is when I set a goal for myself and I just go for it. Don't question it. A lot of people will tell me that, hey, there's not even a bass that big anymore. Like, there's not one. Like, it's impossible, like all this stuff. But you cannot let that be something that decides what you do. You don't. The part of the journey is the fact that you don't know if you can do it, right? But you are going to do it. You know what I mean? You have to set that sight. And I think that having that goal and having that drive in my life just makes everything crystal clear. You know what I mean? Like, of course you have your up days and your down days, but for the most part, at the end of the day, even if it's the worst day, a terrible day, I get home, I'm like, dude, oh my God. But I get to sit there at the end of the day and I wake up the next morning and I'm like, I have a goal. You know what I mean? I have a goal and let's get back on track. Let's go. And it just, like I said, it just makes everything make sense to me. Yeah. You can't question your purpose. Just make it. You know what I mean? Literally just decide it and go. Whatever your dream is, like whatever you want to do, you have to want it more than anybody else. That is the bottom line. You can't make any excuses. You can't sit around and say, oh, I want to do it tomorrow. Like, no, you gotta go now, dude. I have to do it every day, Yeah. So that's the way I think about it. It helps me move along in life and not be caught up on anything.
So personally, do you think if you didn't have that innate goal driving you, that this lifestyle would kind of almost be like it wouldn't fulfill you as much? Do you feel like in having that goal, it allows you to live this lifestyle and continue with the same drive day after day?
Yeah, it's a little bit of both. Like I said, I've in the past, I've found myself, like, before I had this goal, I've had a little bit of, like, where you're just like, man, what am I doing? Like, what is going on? I'm sure everybody's had that period in their life where they're like, dude. And then whether it's a week or 5 weeks or 5 months, you know, a year, like 5 years, whatever it is, you might have that lull period where you're just like, dude, I don't know what I'm doing. I'm just kind of like wandering and living, you know, and you look back and you're like, whoa, that went by fast.
Yeah.
But yeah, for me, I just like, it definitely helps out a little bit, especially like, you know, conditions I live in, or like the way, you know what I mean? The way I have to deal with the heat or anything like that. Like none of that matters, you know what I mean? Cause I have this goal that I'm chasing. Yeah. You need that pursuit in your life.
Yeah.
You know, I think it's also like, it's also sort of primal because, you know, thinking like the caveman days, this is all, okay, now we're getting into the realm of like just my random thoughts, but think of the caveman days where we were programmed to live. That was the only goal, was to survive, was to eat and make it to the next day, right? And now you don't really have that anymore. You don't really have to worry about whether you're going to make it the next day or not. You're pretty confident you're going to make it, right? And I feel like as a species, we've kind of lost that drive, and you need that drive. You need that like goal to chase, you know what I mean? Whether it's surviving or, you know, doing something crazy, whatever your goal is, you need to set a goal and go. And I feel like it just, like I said, it fulfills your brain like on a primal level to just not question it and go for it. You know what I mean? You need to keep moving. Like,
yeah. I feel like, especially in the country that we're living, we're really developed. We have a lot of infrastructure, a lot of roads, a lot of this and that. But I used to live in a border town, and just crossing the border, going to Mexico.
Which town?
Eagle Pass, Texas.
Oh, okay, dude. I have buddies in Crystal City right there.
Oh, nice.
Not too far.
Nice. Yeah.
Eagle Pass is, it's a little
There's like
than
nothing
Crystal
there.
City. Yeah.
There's a Rio Grande, which maybe you visited.
Yeah. No, there's the Nueces River right there.
Yeah.
That's really pretty.
Yeah. But I remember like going to visit family over there, and a lot of like the little things that we just like kind of see here in America, we don't really see in like Mexico. Like Mexico, there's like a lot of big time corruption with like the cartel and like political figures. But it's also like in the day-to-day life of like my great grandparents, they live there and they still live there to this day. And like sometimes I would just like shower and I'd be like, oh, maybe there's hot water, maybe there's not. Like,
right.
Like we'll kind of see, and then like the pressure of the water isn't like there. Their toilets, you can't like flush your toilet paper down the toilet. You have to put it on the trash because it doesn't have enough pressure to go down.
Stuff that we don't have to deal with here. You know what I mean? And you may think your life is so terrible, but you know.
and like we consider these luxuries, but then like a lot of people go to travel to Costa Rica, to Mexico, and they see like this life, and they're like, oh, it's kind of cool, but like for a week, and then they'll want to come back. Yeah. But you, in a sense, let go a lot of these like little luxuries and started to pursue this lifestyle that you currently have. Do you ever feel a little bit conflicted whenever you're like seeing maybe friends or like your peers like kind of have these like luxuries that you don't have?
Sometimes. I definitely used to more often than I do now. I feel like I've settled into it and I have a good system now where I don't really miss it. Like I said, you have to like sacrifice everything to get to this level. You know what I mean? To get to a level, not that I'm, like I said, no, I'm not trying to like preach here like, oh, I'm the best in the world, but like to become the best in the world, you literally have to just drop everything. Like everything you have to be willing to do like little incremental things, you know what I mean, to get closer. Like I said, living in a van, it puts me on the water more often. You know what I mean? I'm closer. I can literally just sleep there, wake up, and then I'm on the water. It gets me closer to my goal. And it's like, you know, you get to a certain level and the improvements go in like plateaus, you know what I mean? And the plateaus get longer and longer. So you'll hit a plateau like for your first time where you're maybe learning how to cast, right? Hit that plateau and then you got it and then you're going up again, you're learning, right? And then you hit another plateau where you're not learning anything, you know, and they get longer and longer. So now maybe I'll have a plateau in my fishing where it's like, I don't learn anything for a year, you know what I mean? Or however long, but it's all little incremental stuff and how far you're willing to push. So I kind of take that, you know what I mean? Like the van is a way for me to push it even further than everyone else. You know what I mean? Like, hey, this guy's got to drive an hour to lake. And by the time you wake up in the morning, you know, make your coffee, whatever, do all this, and then you drive out to the lake, that's already 2 or 3 hours of energy you've exhausted when I am there and I am ready. I'm focused. You know what I mean? So I have that extra edge on people. You know what I mean? Like that's the way I think about it. it's an advantage for me for sure. And I need that.
So, you've gotten to this point where you've already started building this platform and you've already started making some income and money off of your lifestyle. Do you mind me asking you? It's okay if you're not comfortable with like what type of income's like rolling in.
I'm an open book. I'll tell you everything because it's not a lot.
Okay. So what does like your monthly income look like? I remember last time we talked, you were saying that you had roughly $1,000 coming in from sponsorships every single month, and that would help just feed some of your basic needs, food, toiletries, etc. So
right now I'm sitting somewhere between $1,500 and $2,000 a month, which is like a significant jump up for me. If I get an extra $500, that's a lot of money. That goes a really long way. Think about gas, groceries, and that's pretty much it. Buy oil change, you know what I mean, every month or a couple months. I'm sitting right in there. It kind of depends because like certain commissions and stuff like that, you know, I mean, some things I get commissioned on. YouTube revenue obviously is up and down. If I have a good month, I'll get, you know, this much. If I have a bad month, it's a little less. But yeah, I'm definitely pulling in $1,500 a month, and that's I don't think most people would be able to live off that, to be honest. I have a very tight budget. I am I'm a penny pincher pretty much. I definitely like every penny that I spend on things like food and gas or anything else besides fishing stuff or you know, gas to get to the lake is like, dang, I'm doing myself a disservice right now. I could be on the lake if I had this gas money that I spent on a freaking burger earlier. You know what I mean? So yeah, I'm definitely pretty tight on it, but it has grown, and it's growing a lot. It's just like a weird little pool though. Like being an influencer is like, it's like a little pool of incomes, you know what I mean? So I do like my Patreon, I have my YouTube, I have my sponsors, I have like, you know, codes and stuff like that, commission. And it all adds up to a sum that I can live off of. You know what I mean? And it took a long time to get there. It takes a really long time, and you have to push and you have to ask. That's the big thing I learned is you have to ask for the money because no one's going to give it to you if you don't ask. You know what I mean? Actually, Kyle is the one who taught me that because he's super business minded, but he originally started paying me and he was like, hey dude, you need to go ask these other people because I'm the only one who's going to pay you without you asking. You know what I mean? So I was like, oh, okay. And I started writing out like a little, I can give you this many views a month, or I can post this many times, like whatever. You know, I send it to a company. Hey, do you want this? Pay me this much. Just different sponsor deals like that. It's a lot of talking, a lot of business. You know what I mean? Yeah. Because it's like I bring a certain image to your brand as well. You know what I mean? People enjoy my content. People watch my content. They keep up with me. And if I'm promoting something, they will look at it and go, oh, he's promoting this. And I like to keep a good reputation of stuff that I'm promoting is all stuff that I already use. Like that's another big thing I've set. It's kind of almost a barrier that I've set on myself, that all the companies that I work with are companies that I would be working with or buying regardless, whether I was sponsored or had a following or not like that. And there's even some things that I use that are not sponsored, and I'll show you, hey, there's this thing that I use and I don't get any money for that. You know what I mean? But that's important to me for the brand image, you know what I mean, that I present for companies. So they know that I'm not just a guy who just picks up every little deal, you know, here and there, working with all this pro staff, you know what I mean? Like stuff like that. No, that's not me. I take pride in the companies I work with, you know what I mean? Because they're usually either smaller businesses or local or anything like that. That's important to me.
So you have an origin of being like the homeless fisherman, and a lot of people are starting to know you as this, but in a couple of years' time, you're going to start just having more and more viewers, more and more income. Something will happen within that time where you just start generating a lot more and could kind of afford to move out of that lifestyle. Have you, what is like your thought process on maybe even moving like into places while you have more income, or like maybe even in the summer months, like it's like really hot. Maybe you want like Airbnb for like a year or a month or two.
So I have thought about this because it is kind of funny that like you can just become a millionaire on YouTube by accident. Like you literally can. And I'm not like, I don't plan for it, right? I'm not like, oh, I'm gonna get $1 million to posting videos. But I am like, hey, if I hit it big, like it might happen. You know what I mean? That would be dope, right? That would be sick. I honestly see myself like every time I get extra money, it's usually goes towards like, oh, savings so I can get a new van whenever the time comes. My van is a 96, so it's old, right? And she's got some miles on her, and she'll go further, but at the end of the day, like eventually it's got a lifespan. But yeah, any extra money that I generate, I feel like honestly I just take it and I'm like, okay, how can I optimize again, me getting on the water, me fishing, me creating content. I don't know, if I had $10 million right now, I'd probably buy a house in Japan, and then I'd buy a house over here on whatever lake I think is really good, and I just bounce back and forth. You know what I mean? I'll just go there and hang out and make videos, but still keep it pretty low key. I'm not trying to. I don't have any big aspirations to live in a huge house or have all this money. I don't want to be Mr. Beast. I'm okay. I enjoy the way I live. The only thing I would get is a nice van. That'd be cool,
Yeah, would you get any of those like huge RVs? Like the
I want like dream setup. Like I said, if I just had the money to drop on it right now, it'd be like a big Amazon Sprinter type van that I could stand up in. That would be the big thing. If I could stand up in it, man, that would be a big quality of life improvement. And then behind it, I would tow a little K truck, like a little Japanese K truck. You know what I'm talking about? Or those single cab. So they're little tiny like.
I'm gonna search it up.
Yeah, usually you've probably seen them. People make them into like drift cars and stuff like that. They're very cool. It's called KEI K truck. They are super sick. They're right hand drive, stick shift. They just use them on like little Japanese farms.
Oh I've seen them.
I would tow one of those behind the Sprinter to have as like go around and pick up groceries or go to the lake or whatever. Have it like my little go-kart to run around on. That would be the dream setup. That would make me the most efficient, I think. So yeah, that would be it if I had a lot of money.
Yeah. So that's like in a sense like end goal or end picture where you have a big house. What about the in between? I mean, there is like that in between where you're still living pretty okay, and you have a good amount of income. Let's say you're making around $5,000 this time, either next year or in 2 years. Would you then, in a sense, like start focusing a little bit more on like living out like the harsh winters or like the harsh summers, like maybe in an Airbnb or anything of the sort?
I would consider it, or just set up the van ready for whatever. I would have a generator, AC maybe. I've already kind of reached that point where I'm hitting like this is like more money than I need a month. You know what I mean? Like I have a budget, and like if I am to a T on the budget, $950 will get me through the month, right? And so of course sometimes I'm like, I want to drive out to the lake, so I'll spend a little extra money on gas, but $950 can keep me alive for a month, like baseline, and that's like fairly comfortable. That's like $300 for groceries, which is a little more than you. I've gotten it down. I've done it even like lower than 800 before, just to like test myself. I'm like, okay, I'm gonna go to Aldi. I'm gonna get all the deals. I'm gonna really try and dial it in. And I spent $196 on groceries 1 month, which I thought was really impressive. I was like, wow, that's and especially not being able to buy stuff in bulk because I'm in the van. I was like, that's about as concise as I can get it. But I've been on like savings now. Like, dude, this is for the first time in a long time. I've had like some savings. I'm just like, dude, I put this money away because I don't need it at the end of the month. I'm like, dude, nice. Like now whenever the van breaks down, I have a little down payment. You know what I mean? I'm like, that's cool. Yeah. That's impressive to me.
So I have 2 questions. Yeah. So first, do you ever think about getting something as a generator, or do you have one? And then second, instead of savings, do you ever plan on investing some of that money?
So, okay, first question. I would like a generator, of course. I don't have one right now. Right now I run batteries, so everything is battery powered. I can charge my laptop, his heat lamp, heat pad, everything like that, phone, whatever I need to do, lights in there. And it's solar charged, so I have one solar panel on top, which is like just for trickle charging throughout the day. And then I also have alternator charge, so I have a big cord that runs from the alternator all the way to the back to the battery, so it charges while I'm driving, which is really convenient. So it's pretty much charged all the time. Every once in a while I have to run the van a little bit, but I do have that, and a generator would be nice for the higher output things, like maybe an air fryer or AC or something like that. That would be great. So that's definitely on the list. And then investing, I have not thought about investing. I'm the kind of dude, I think, at least at this point in my life, I'm just like, well, as long as I'm not putting the money anywhere, as long as I'm not spending it, I'm winning. You know what I mean? But I'm open to it. I don't know anything about it though. Is a big thing. You know what I mean? I have no idea. Like I don't know. My dad never invested anything, so he's just.
I'll show you how to get a book for free that I've been recommending to all my friends. It's called "I Will Teach You to Be Rich," and for me, I read it whenever I was 17. I'm now 21, so it has made save me around like $30,000, and it just helps me out with like things like credit, negotiating with banks, negotiating with car dealers.
Yeah.
And it also taught me like the very basics on investing. And now I only worry about my money like roughly 60 minutes every month. And it kind of has like my system dialed. I can tell you a little bit more about that. It's a book that I always recommend to people that are trying to get their finances in check in terms of like growing a little bit more in wealth. And what I've been using this book to do is, as soon as I get out of college, because I'm currently finishing up at the University of Texas, I plan on getting a job, and then from there I want to use all the investment money that I have, and then use it to just buy a house, and then just build up equity, and then do that like 3-4 times with like the new income.
Smart.
But like there is like a little quite a few tricks that I picked up along the way, just like understanding things of the sort, like how to work different investment accounts, how to gamble safely in a sense. Because there's like investing in the stock market, and then there's like investing in real estate, and there's like all this stuff, and like there is so much noise.
It's overwhelming. It's definitely overwhelming looking at it from the outside. I'm like, whoa.
There's so much noise, and like I've had like friends that I kind of tried talking about through this, because I also worked as an agent, and I was like, and a lot of people are like, I'm gonna get my real estate license. I'm like, hey, consider it. Is that really what you want?
And I remember we talked about it. It's tough. We were talking. What did you say? You said that. How long did it take you to sell your first house? A year?
It took me a year, and I made roughly $0, but spent $2,000.
I remember that. That piece of information stuck in my head. I was like, whoa.
Yeah. So for Austin, Texas, there is 25,000 other agents. A quick stat: it's like 91% of them fail within the first year, and then. I might be mixing up the numbers, but I know it's in the 90s.
You have better luck being a homeless fisherman. Jesus.
And then from there, the people that do survive, I think it's like 80% fail within the next 5 years.
Dang,
so it has a huge failure rate. I was 18, got my license.
Dude, if you nailed it here, if you dialed it in here, right, and you get good, you go anywhere else, it would be a cakewalk, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
I bet it would be like just whatever. You go to Fort Worth or whatever. Like,
yeah.
you could freaking you do so much damage there.
It is pretty interesting. But I remember I think I talked to you about this, where like it was a year later I had sold my first house and I made $11,000. And I was like, oh, this is awesome. I made $11,000 on this house, and I was a 19-year-old with $11,000 to my name. I felt like super cool, because I was like, not many 19-year-olds get experiences.
I didn't even have anything close to that. I've never had that much money in my, in one place.
But I did have a bunch of student loans, a bunch of credit card debt.
Right.
So and it ended up only like leaving me with like 2-3 months of rent.
You put a bunch of that too.
Yeah.
Okay.
To pay everything off and
smart,
pay off like my debts.
Well, that's smart. Yeah.
Yeah. But then I came to realize that through that I could also like invest every now and then, and like with my parents, they're I'm not sure if I'm first gen or they're first gen. I always get like confused. But a lot of my family is from Mexico, and they don't know anything about investing. Come from Eagle Pass, where it's a small town. Investments aren't really talked about. Other than like your 401k or some.
James, if you're listening, I know you know a whole lot about investing out there.
Yeah, and like it's really hard and it's really overwhelming. But I think if you nail down some like the very basic concepts, it just makes a lot of sense. Like there's this. I was having a conversation with my little sister yesterday, and I showed her my portfolio on Robinhood.
Yeah.
And she was like, "Oh my goodness, that's so much money." I'm like, "Yeah, dude, but this is only like 6 months worth of rent.
Right.
If we're really thinking about it, or like 6 months worth of living with like groceries.
100%. Yeah.
So and I was like telling her about this interesting stat that I remember seeing. It was I think I still have it. Let me see if I could find it.
I was gonna say I don't have any rent, so I could probably do some damage if I read a couple books.
Yeah, I mean, it is like pretty interesting. It's this Hartford Funds. So avoiding the market's downturns may mean missing out on the ups as well. 78% of stock market's best days occur during a bear market or during the first 2 months of a bull market. If you missed the 10 best days over the past 30 years, you would have cut your returns in half. Meaning, if you missed the best 30 days, you would have reduced your returns by astonishing 83%. So that maybe doesn't seem a lot, but like so like for example, the average like if you were to invest $100 into the S&P 500 or an overall index fund, and those are easy. Those are just like, I like to think of them as like a bag of marbles. Like if a stock is a marble, index fund.
I was gonna say, do you know you watch Caleb Hammer?
Yeah,
on
yeah.
YouTube? Yeah. So I got like a freaking a binge a bender like watching all of the financial audits, and that's actually the first time I ever like kind of understood a little bit, because he puts it in like the simplest terms to these people who are just completely financial illiterate. And he was talking about how the S&P 500 has like the easiest, highest return.
Yeah. And it's like relatively safe. Like, So the thing that people get overwhelmed with is like all the noise on social media, like you should invest in this and this is why you should invest in this. Yeah. And that is like so much excess information. And the book that I'll show you how to get it, and hopefully you could read it. And, and if you have any questions, let me know. I'd love to help. Dope. And I'll even give you a tool for it. Anyways, but so I remember reading this, and it was like you get overwhelmed with the excess of financial information, but if you just want a standard like way to grow in terms of like wealth and investments, the stock market is pretty good. Because I remember it was something along the lines of like, if you invest $150 each month from the day you're 18 to I think it's the day you're 30, you will be a guaranteed millionaire.
Yeah, that's right. I've heard that stat before.
So I remember I was talking to my little sister about that, and then I had told her about this stat where it was, if you miss the best trading days, you will reduce your returns by 83%. But that basically means like, imagine you were investing and you start investing when you're 40, but that means that you missed out in the returns that these people are talking about. Then like, imagine you would put $100, you would gain probably in the S&P 500 like $8 from those $100. Yeah. But I mean, if you were investing during like the time where like the market was down, you would have probably made roughly $200 or anywhere from $83 to $200 in total, as opposed to that. So there's this like verbiage or there's this saying within real estate that has really stuck with me. It's time in the market beats timing the market. So it's whenever I talk to someone about investments, I'm like, don't get overwhelmed about it, and just think
consistency.
Just think like, how can I stay in this the longest that I can? So whenever I first got started, it was just like index funds and like and doing like really safe investments. And then I was like, you know what? I started like, my portfolio's gotten from like $1,000 to $2,000. Maybe I could throw like $100 in this like risky investment. And then like those pay off.
I mean, you gotta in anything in life, you gotta put a little on the line. You can't always just be like, oh, this is the safe route. You're never gonna be great if you take the safe route. You know, nobody's gonna be great if you take the safe route.
But I was just like saying this just to like to wrap it back in. But I think you're getting into a point where you could like start thinking about investing. And
I'm absolutely open to it all. Like I don't, like I said, I don't know anything about it. This is a cool conversation. Like I said, this is like interesting because I'm gonna come in here and talk about stuff that isn't fishing, which I love talking about fishing, but I do also like really enjoy like the taking a step back and just like, you know, discussing finances or whatever, because it's super important, you know, it's super important for my stuff.
It is something I really hope to achieve with like my social media. And it like, I feel like personal finance is like if we're going into like my tinfoil hat moment, I feel like it's something that like the big people on the top make very confusing.
No, 100%.
So we rely on them more.
100%. Yeah. That's why you go to school, and I don't remember a single thing from high school.
Yeah. I mean, and they don't have it like within anything that they teach us. You learn finances from your parents.
Yep, and then like, good luck if your parents know finances. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like, no offense, mom or dad, but you know, like, look where y'all are at.
Yeah.
But
I think the same thing. Like my mom, she was like a teen mom. And then from there, she got like a bunch of credit card debt. My dad, he's in and out of jobs. Yeah.
I mean, the thing is, like, the people who have the money, like, they control the narrative. You know what I mean? Yeah. They do what they want. You know, they can, you know, set it up so it wins for them. Yeah. But it's just, like I said, it is cool that you are kind of providing this resource for people so they can find their way out. You know what I mean? Yeah. Because it's one thing to say like, oh, like, you didn't know that, like, you should have done your own research, but also it's set up against you. Like, the system is literally rigged against you. Like, it's the same way people, you know, like, I used to beat up on myself. This is a pretty good comparison, I think, for buying fast food, right? I used to beat up on myself, like, dude, why are you doing that? Like, again, here I am at the fucking drive-thru, right? Excuse me. At the drive-thru, right? And I would beat up on myself. I'm like, why, dude? Like, why are you doing it? And I would put the blame on me mostly, but you can't put it all on you, because they literally have like neuroscientists engineering a way to have the colors right, so it makes you hungry, so you pull in, like, you know what I mean? They have everything set up against you. So a lot of it is, you know, a lot of it is your own choice, but a lot of it is also you're being swayed whether you know it or not. You know what I mean? So, but it's when you realize that fact, you're like, oh, like, it opens up your eye. You know what I mean? Once you realize that it's like, it's not 100% your fault. It takes a little bit of the blame off your shoulders, so you don't beat up on yourself so much, and then you can work towards fixing it. You know what I mean? And I think the same way with finances. You know what I mean?
I think it's always like I feel like there's always like a devil on your shoulder, and you kind of just have to like know that the devil on your shoulder is there, but like somehow find a way to avoid it and fight it. Yep. So
the constant, as long as you are, even if it's there, and even if you mess up every once in a while, as long as you are making an active effort against it always, you will be fine. You know, you will make it. You know what I mean? Yeah. It's the people who just give up and give in.
The hopelessness.
That's when you lose. You know, don't you gotta grab the bull by the horns, right? Don't let it win. Jeez, you know, it doesn't matter what you're up against. You know what I mean? You can't give up like that. You know?
Yeah. And I think it's super exciting because you're in this position right now where you're really young. You have a lot of places to go. Do you ever get conflicted on like maybe even moving out of that lifestyle and not being known as like the homeless fisherman?
Yeah, actually, I have thought about this for a while. Like, okay, what happens if I'm, you know, not? What happens if I'm not the homeless fisherman anymore? Well, I have another alias that I go by that my buddy Juan came up with a long time ago. We made a video called The Paddleboard Crusaders, and it's my personal favorite video I've ever produced. It is just like, it's just raw and stupid and fun, and like that's it. So maybe in the future it will switch from the homeless fisherman to the paddleboard crusader, right? To honor him. I think that would probably make sense. You know, like I said, he came up with it, and it was kind of our little group, and I could take it that direction. You know what I mean? And it would still be, people would still know. You know what I mean? People would still know the story, and it could be a story that could tell. And at the end of the day, like I said, my content isn't 100% revolving around me living in a van, which, I mean, a lot of it is, but, you know, fishing is my first passion. You know what I mean? Immediately. I even find it hard sometimes to make van videos because I'm like, dude, I just don't care. Like, I don't watch van videos. I don't, like, this is my daily life. This is just, I'm just getting up and making breakfast just like any other normal person, you know, and I have a hard time filming it, but people think it's so interesting, you know, and I once I step back, I get it, you know, but it is a little weird at first. I'm like, do people really care? Like, or even just coming on this thing and talking, like, it took me a long time to get the understanding that people just wanted to hear me talk. And I'm like, I don't want to be that like self-centered dude where I'm like, oh, what do you do? But people do enjoy it. If you're listening and you enjoy me talking, thank you. Cause you like make this happen for me. And like I said, I hope that I can inspire people out there to just chase something, do something that you want.
Go away from the norm too.
Yeah.
I feel like that is one thing that I've really learned from you. It's that you're so comfortable with being away from the norm. And I feel like you're already getting to these positions where you're like, I could be in the norm technically.
Yeah.
And I could go get like a 9-to-5 job.
Right.
Like come back.
Yeah.
You're a young guy, healthy, and you're still sticking to your guns.
Yeah.
And I find that extremely admirable.
Yeah, that's what I love. You know, like I do what I love, and it's honestly like the question has actually come up for a while. Like, oh, dude, why don't you just get a boat? You know, why don't you get a boat? And I'm like, no, no, dude. I like that paddleboard fishing is part of my being. You know what I mean? Like this is a style that I've curated, and I love it. Like it's something really cool too. Like is having people send me messages or watching people tag me in posts and they're like, yo, like, look, I got this paddleboard because of you. Like I set this up. And I'm like, dude, like what? If I would talk to my younger self, like, hey, 15-year-old Marshall, you know, whenever you're 22, people are going to be buying paddleboards because of you. And you're going to be like, people are going to think you're super cool. And I'm like, no way. You know what I mean? Like, oh, you're going to catch a 10-pounder every year. And I'd be like, no way, dude. Like, shut up. You know what I mean? That is incredible. Like I try and focus on like, I don't know. I'm grateful. I'm super grateful for all my supporters and like all the people out there. And I don't ever want to get away from that. Like, I still want it to be small. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not any better than any of you guys. I'm just a dude. You know what I mean? I just like, it happens that I've inspired you a little bit. And I want to let you know, every time I go to these like meetups and stuff, we just had a little pop-up shop earlier today. And it's like meeting these people that are not much different than me. You know what I mean? We're all normal people here and we're all just learning how to live on the planet, you know, and I take a little bit from every person I meet, you know. It doesn't matter who you are. It doesn't matter if you're Joe Schmo welder, you know, 9 to 5. You know, I'm going to take a little bit from you. You know, there's always something you can teach me. Yeah, I don't know. It's a crazy world. It's a crazy thing that we're living and doing, and yeah, that's it. Yeah.
I've also so on TikTok I grew to roughly 16,000, and I started noticing like little benefits from it as well. And I know that you touched on some of the benefits, but there's been times where like you've reached out to people or people have reached out to you and they see you and they'll like welcome you in to like maybe they'll let you know about like their secret fishing spots or like you've gone traveling a lot to meet certain people. So what is like one of the experiences that has kind of stuck with you from just making that platform that you have?
Dude, like it is I think social media sucks, right? It does suck. Like a lot of things suck on social media, but at the end of the day, it is if you look at the good, like positive sides of it, it creates this incredible community. You know what I mean? Especially like the bass fishing community, like in the little Austin fishing community. Like I know everybody now, and I wouldn't know everybody. You know what I mean? Like I just kind of know all the locals and stuff like that. And it like I said, there's opportunities presented that I would never have got. And I think even people who aren't even trying to do this for a living that get, you know what I mean? Because it's like you can look on something and get inspired, like see something cool, like, oh, hey, dude, this guy, you know, he caught this fish in this certain way. Like, never thought about it that way. Let me try that, you know? Or, you know, hey, like somebody just caught a big fish on Ladybird. Like, I've been sucking it up on Ladybird, so that gives me a little bit of hope. Like, hey, maybe I gotta go a little further. You know what I mean? It's like the image of like the dude like mining for gold. He's like, turn around. Like, I just need that like little bit more, dude.
You know what's funny? I actually had the last podcast guest talk about this same exact photo. Dude, that photo's been going everywhere.
It's so stupid. Like it's like a huge meme now. But like, yeah, the original one is like they're so real. All right, it really is real. You know what I mean? That's what I think about. Just like, dude, a little further. And that's what I hop on social media, and sometimes it does push me a little further. Like my day's terrible, or I see a buddy on there who's caught a big fish. I'm like, dude, oh my god. Like,
do you ever doom scroll while you're on while you're fishing?
Sometimes, yeah. I definitely everybody's got their demons, like I said, and that's probably my biggest demon. I don't drink or smoke. I've never had a sip of alcohol in my life. And so I don't know. I'm not really. It's not that I didn't want to. I just haven't got there yet. But now I'm kind of like, okay, maybe I shouldn't, because I am kind of addicted like that. Like once I get like a little bit of sugar, I'm like, oh, I need some sugar. Or like, oh, if I hop on my phone, like, oh, here we go. I'm scrolling. Same thing. I feel like I said, it's all levels for people. You know what I mean? What you're addicted to, and it can be as simple as fast food and your phone. You know what I mean? And that's, for me, that's all I've ever been addicted to. So it's like it hits me kind of hard. I feel like definitely I catch myself out there sometimes where I'm like, what am I doing? Like, what am I scrolling for? You know what I mean? You gotta fight that one. That's the hardest one, dude, because it's just so easy, and it just seems like it doesn't have an impact on you. You know what I mean? It just seems so non-impactful, but like sitting there scrolling all day does mess you up. I try and consume it in little bits. You know what I mean? And I curate my page so it's like I'm just seeing my friends. You know what I mean? That's what I try and do, or people that I want to see succeed. You know?
I think it's the Opal app that has this really alarming statistic. It was something along the lines of we only have around, I think it was like 36 months of free time, with like most people's
in a year. Oh wait, in
like in an entire lifetime.
36 like total months.
In terms of like free time. Jesus. And from that you end up only, or most teenagers or most people today will spend 93% of that on their phones.
93%.
Yeah. So
my God.
Yeah, it was like kind of scary to watch.
That is absolutely terrifying.
I even have
and think about that. That's just the average. Think about, there's more people that hit higher than that.
Yeah.
You know?
And I actually have this, this has like one of my screensavers. Where is it? Yeah, where it's, if your daily screen time equals 5 years, that equates to over 19 years of your life.
Dude, that's crazy.
Sorry, Archie.
He's good. Oh, dude, yeah, no, the phone struggle is so real, dude. Yeah. And I don't know, like I said, I definitely fall in and out of it where I go really good. I think you were totally off grid whenever we met, right? Yeah, you were. I was
off social media for a year, but it kind of sucked because I also wanted to grow the platform.
Absolutely,
and it kind of killed my momentum.
You need
I'm building it back up.
You need it. You know what I mean? You absolutely need it. But it's like trying to balance it is important. You know what I mean? You have to be able to balance it. Like I need to be on there and I need to be up to date. But at the same time, it doesn't need to consume my life. I think about, 5 hours a day is like, and it's easy to hit 5 hours of screen time a day. You know what I mean? It's not hard. I could do it. I could for sure do it. You know what I mean? I've done it before. It's not hard to hit freaking 8 hours, you know, if you're just not doing anything that day. But that kind of brings it back to having a goal and pursuing it. It kind of, like I said, it clears you up a little bit so you're not so distracted by all this stuff. Because it's like, I pick up my phone and I'm like, I'm scrolling for a second and then I'm like, wait a second. I'm like, I need to be locked in, all right? I need to drink some water. Like, I need to drink some water. I need to get, like, something's not right. Let me drink some water, take a break, eat my little fruit, and then get back on it. You know what I mean? Like, literally lock in, dude. Like, you can't be doing that. You can't be giving into the demons. That's the demon right there, dude. That little device. It will control your life. I used to have a joke with my old buddies. It was like, we would just be like, oh, what's up, dude? Oh yeah, I'm just consuming like all this content right now. Like, how many different forms of media can you consume? Yeah. Like, I have a movie going on my laptop and I have the TV on playing video games and I'm scrolling on my phone, like, you know, just to drown out noise. Like, dude, you can't let that win. You know what I mean? It seems so inconsequential, but no, there you go. There's the statistics right there.
Yeah, it is like really alarming and it's like really shocking. And I try to like think about it, and sometimes I'm like, I need to go on a hike, dude. The reason I'm probably really sad is because
you're not outside.
I'm not outside. I'm not getting the vitamin D that I need.
Or just moving. Working out is a big one that I think has really helped me with my productivity.
Do you do like calisthenics? What do you do?
No,
working out.
So I mean, like, obviously I paddle like a few miles every day, sometimes more than sometimes like 8 miles a day. But I paddle. And then in the morning I run. I've seen you've been running a little bit recently too. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I've been doing barefoot runs on the trails every morning. Nice. Every morning before.
You have barefoot shoes?
No, just barefoot.
Oh, barefoot.
Every morning before breakfast I try. And like this morning I had to wake up and do this thing, so I didn't go. But 5 days a week I'm running at least before breakfast. And then typically I'll do 3 days in a row in the gym. Like, I shower at Planet Fitness at night. So before I shower, I'm like, okay, get a workout in. I'll go do legs, and then I'll do and then I'll do abs and back, and then like upper body, like shoulders and stuff like that, in 3 days in a row. Then I'll take a rest day and then repeat. You know what I mean? So just threes and then one off. So usually 2 a days. Usually running in the morning and then working out in the evening, and the paddling in the middle. That's probably been. No, I've been running for like 2 months, but I've been working out for like 5 now, and I'm like finally starting to see some results. I'm like, like I saw a video of my back the other day versus a back from 4 months ago, and I was like, whoa, my back looks sick. You know, that's cool. But it like having that thing that you do every day, and you don't like, no matter how motivated you are, no matter what you feel like, you do it every single day. It's better to get in there and half-ass it every single day than it is to just do it when you're motivated, because you're only going to do it once a week. You know what I mean? If you're motivated.
What does your diet look like? Is it like a lot of meats, protein, leaves?
Recently, it's been like whole foods diet. I don't really stray from, like in the morning, eggs and potatoes and bacon or sausage, and then in the daytime, we usually either eat like a fish or just a lot of meat, a lot of not quite carnivore, but then evening, like a lot of bell peppers, onions, mushrooms, ground beef, turkey, stuff like that. I try and keep it really, more recently I've been keeping it really simple, because it's like you keep adding on, like as you go through your like health journey. Like I said, it's just like my fishing journey. I keep adding on different levels, and now I'm like, I've started the workout, and then I was like, okay, let me add the cardio, then let me add this, and now let me add my diet. You know what I mean? Kind of fix my diet up a little bit. I like the whole foods thing, where it's just
whole foods are nice,
dude. That's the move, dude. It makes your gut feel good. Like you don't you're never hurting.
I'm feeling you're following carnivorous Aurelius.
I'm not trying to be the carnivore. I don't.
Do you know who he is?
Who is it?
The carnivorous Aurelius. Okay. It's just a funny Instagram page.
My buddy Brian, he kind of got me into this, so he might know who it is. Yeah, he's not quite to carnivore level, but he's like no carbs. Yeah, he's on the no carbs thing, but he's got a different build than me. I think I need a few carbs. I'm very skinny already, but I try and keep, like I said, pretty low carbs. Just eat things that are like super high in fat and protein. That's it. Cool. And I feel good. You know what I mean? I feel good that way. But that like consistency every day, getting there, doing something, it helps you so much in other parts of your life. It helps me in my fishing, helps me in my content creation, my editing, my just general overall productivity, and then you're just happiness. You know what I mean? You go in the mirror and you're like, dude, I'm getting huge. You see progress and you get excited, dude. It makes you feel good. Nice. And even if you're not seeing progress, like you could just do it for a few weeks and you'll be like, whoa, I feel good. You feel good. Eat right. Keep moving, don't ever stop moving, and you'll feel good. You know what I mean? You will find that like that happiness that you're looking for. You know what I mean? It's just in your movement. I think
that is exciting, because I feel like from like an outside point of view, someone would hear homeless and they would think, oh, like this person's probably not taking care of themselves, but like you're on it, and absolutely. And I really think that is amazing.
I have all the free time in the world pretty much, so I better like it hit me like I said, it hit me probably like 6 months ago. I was like, why am I not in the best shape of my life? I have a lot of time. I can do it. Like it's just you add on another 30 minutes a day to do something else, like. You can do it. You know what I mean? Like no excuses. You know what I mean? Even when I was working, like I was still like, you know what I mean? I still got out there. I still fished. I still did my thing. You have to.
You ever think about getting like a yoga mat? Like
I need one, dude. I usually just use my paddleboard.
Really?
Actually, like I just use my paddleboard as a yoga mat, so I don't have to have anything extra in my van.
I have an extra one if you want. It
works pretty good. Really? Yeah. I might take you up on that. Let me see where it fits, because I have to like make sure it has a good spot. Yeah. But yeah, honestly, that would be nice. I do. Like I said, I usually do yoga on the paddleboard, and I want, that's like the next thing I want to add is I want to be able to do the splits. Like that's kind of that's kind of one for me.
I've been working out on the splits and the handstands as well.
I've been doing a little handstand too, just like try it once a day, or I hop up on it and like get my balance a little better. Another thing that I do that is like crazy for my core and like just balance and everything is when I'm paddling, standing up on the board, I'll just like challenge myself to stand up on my tiptoes as long as I can while I'm paddling, and like my whole body is like working to paddle, right? And every day I don't know, I get a little better at it, and I'm like, oh, this is sick. Now I can I feel like my balance improves, my core improves, all that stuff makes my back hurt less, you know what I mean, stuff like that. Yeah, just doing little things every day. That's what I want to add though, is like I want like some crazy mobility. I want to do some like insane mobility stuff, you know what I mean? If I could do the splits, I'd be so stoked.
Dude, we might have to hit it. I'm going to Brazil June 7th, dude. But if you want to hit a yoga day, I took a yoga class, and
is it like intense?
No, there's like levels to it. There's like days where like you're doing handstands and like working your core, but then there's also like restorative yoga. And I have like a yoga mat. Sometimes I go with like a couple friends to Barden. So maybe I could I could hit you up next time.
No, yeah, I'd be down. Let me know. And I, like I said, I'm usually always around. So just hit me up day of or day before or whatever. That'd be dope. Yeah. I'm down for that.
Yeah. Well, looks like we're coming up on time pretty soon. But do you have anything that you kind of want to leave the viewers with if you had to say something, or let's go with where's like somewhere that people could find you? Instagram, YouTube.
So Instagram and YouTube are like my number one, number two, like trying to grow the YouTube a lot. Just the Homeless Fisherman on everything. No spaces, no periods, no nothing, just straight across, easy to find. And if you want, you can support me on Patreon. I have a Patreon thing. I have a bunch of extra videos on there, behind the scenes stuff, how-tos, all that. If you want to learn how to fish like me, there's a bunch of tutorial stuff on there. And other than that, and then Archie's is the Homeless Lizard. You can also find him on Instagram.
I'm gonna hold up Archie real quick.
Time, just make sure you support underneath both of his legs, like his there you go.
There you go. So this is Archie.
Yeah. So if you want to see more Archie, you got that. Archie's on the channel. You want to see some van life stuff, you want to see some fishing stuff, it's all there. I got it all, you know.
Yeah. Well, that is awesome. What about a message that you have to leave anyone with? If someone had to learn something from you, what would be the ideal thing that they would learn from you?
Do not give up on that dream you have. Like whatever you want to do, whatever that's just like, dude, I wish I could do this. Just absolutely go get it. Stop sitting around like if you're listening to this right now and you're like, man, I should be doing it. Do it. Come on, dude. Like seriously, get out there and do it. You know what I mean? Life is so short for you not to just chase whatever impossible thing you want to do. You know what I mean? There's too many people that just give up on it and think, I'll settle. Don't settle. You know what I mean? Go for it. Even if what you want is just a cookie cutter happy life. You know what I mean? I want a family and I want to settle down. That's still a dream, you know what I mean? Go make that happen. You know what I mean? Live a fulfilling life. Do what you want to do. Yeah. That's it. That's what I do, and I feel like I'm pretty happy. So, yeah, TMs are open. Hit me up if you need fishing tips, whatever that.
Awesome.
Appreciate you having me.
Thank you so much for coming on.
Of course, dude. Anytime.
Dude, I feel like that was... Nice.